Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Call online is open 205-850-0883. A lot to talk about as Alabama goes into the 9th game of the season, taking on LSU. We consider it a redemption game. Talked to Nick Saban. You probably just saw his press conference, which we uploaded right here to our YouTube channel. Be sure and hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I want to talk about a couple of things tonight. I want to talk about player grades. I really haven't talked about player grades, and I know a lot of people out there have been asking about player grades. So I have some Pro Football Focus analytic grades that I'm going to pop onto the screen, and we can kind of go in depth and kind of look at the offensive side and the defensive side. Be sure and give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Also, Super Chats tonight get entered into a contest. So something new that we got going on. So check this out real quick. All Super Chats will get entered into this week's contest. And this week's contest, let's see if I can bring that picture up a little bit better for you. Get a $50 gift card to the Alumni Hall. So how it's going to work, you get a super chat. I'll get your information. You can email me, Kyle@BamaInsider.com, and then everything will get entered, and then I'll kick out a $50 gift card so you can get some gear or whatever you want. But we also have a promo going on this week as well. Don't forget about it. Holiday special. Pay $75 for annual subscription. Get $75 to the Nike team store. You can get Alabama gear, and the promo code at BamaInsider.com is Nike 75. So go to BamaInsider.com. The top banner will have that. Thanks for joining me tonight. Let me know where you guys are coming from inside the comment box. I'll put the call in line at the bottom of the screen. And of course, it's always on the ticker at the bottom. So hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Ton of content this week. You got Monday Night Quarterback, with Mick Gillespie. That's always a great show. Have Trey Yannity and Tony Sukalis. And then on Tuesday night, we talk recruiting and we talk playoff rankings. And kind of to that midweek point where we really start to focus in on the next opponent, which will be LSU. Alabama, I think, is favored by now 28, 30 points, something like that. Post your score prediction. I'm curious to see how you have it going into this weekend's game. I think Alabama goes in, and even though Alabama hasn't been talking about the revenge factor, I think it's on the back of everybody's minds that's within the program, because Ed Orgeron, as Mick Gillespie has said, and he's played it several times. Ed Orgeron disrespected Alabama last year with what he said in the locker room. And you kind of look at the trajectory of LSU's program after the national championship game, and you look at the consistency of Alabama, and it's really a testament to what Nick Saban's done and what he's been able to provide at Alabama. And, it's really amazing stuff. So as I said, I want to talk about some player grades, and we do have a call in the queue. I'll take that call in just a minute. Let's start out with just looking at the overall defensive grades. I think that's a really good area to start, and I'll enlarge that on the screen. Call line is open, by the way, and you can call into the show. So what I have here is Pro Football Focus Analytics, and I haven't showed a lot of this lately this season, but here we go. I think we have a large enough sample size. So I'll kind of walk you through it if you're new to Pro Football Focus and kind of how the analytics work. So during each game, there's a former coach that has coached at the NFL or at the college level, and they grade players specifically and send those reports back to Pro Football Focus. We have access to Pro Football Focus, and then we're able to look inside at those analytics. So let me walk you through it. You have the rank overall to the left. Don't pay attention to that just yet. Look at the player. So you got player, Josh Jobe at the top, Patrick Surtain, right? The next column is going to be the number of the player. So Josh Jobe, he's number 28. Then the position, the games that they played, total represents snap counts. Okay. So for example, let's just stay on that top line, because I know there's a lot of people new that haven't seen the grades. Josh Jobe, number 28, he's a corner. He's played in 8 games this season, 577 snaps. 235 of those snaps have been against the rush. He's been involved in 10 pass rush and 332 snaps against coverage. His overall defensive grade is 80.8. So that's kind of how it works. And when you look at these grades overall, I would say don't look at it as if you're grading like in school. So for example, like, yes, we're all used to like a 90, 95. That's like exceptional, right? That's an A. Well, in this category, and speaking with Pro Football Focus, I think that upper 80 is very, very good. And then when you get to the mid 90s, that's like out of this world good. And then when you look at kind of the 50s and 60s, that's kind of average. And then below that is definitely below average. So when you see Dylan Moses, it's kind of average, that 52.8. But let me just talk about these ratings real quick, and then I'll kind of post the offense. And the offense as well, and then I'll take your calls. I know we have a call in the queue. Just be patient. I'll get right to you right here on Bama Insider. Definitely hit the thumbs up button, like and subscribe. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I appreciate you guys being here, and away we go with the continued pro football focus analytics. All right, let me get that back on the screen. All right, so we're looking at Josh Jobe. When you look at his overall defensive grade, that's to the far right, 80.8. We talked about his play. His tackle grade, which is not shown on the screen, has been great as well. I think we all saw, Josh Jobe tackle very well against the Auburn Tigers. Even Nick Saban, during his SEC teleconference, talked about special teams players and mentioned that Josh Jobe is a key contributor to special teams. I certainly agree with that. He's always downfield making tackles. You also have Patrick Surtain, and Patrick Surtain has the highest grade above 200 snaps on this team. 86.3. He's just played exceptional. I think when you look to guys who are going to play on Sundays, we all knew that Patrick Surtain was going to be that guy, but to see his grade and the amount of snaps, because the higher the snaps, the more accurate the grade is going to become. And 86.3 is really, really impressive. Now we get to the number 3 spot, and that's Dylan Moses. And you look to the far right, 52.8. I don't think he's had the season clearly that we thought he was going to have. He's still a leader on this team. He's still a veteran, but he clearly hasn't been as productive as we thought he was going to be. Christian Harris, feel that grade was a little bit lower than what it should be, because during Saturdays, it feels like he's kind of all over the place, right? 62.9 grade out. Jordan Battle, 73.9 grade out. And how about Malachi Moore, number 6 on your screen right here, 81.2. And that's in 523 snaps. That's incredible for just a freshman, right? I mean, you got to think this guy, was in high school last year, now playing at this tremendous level. It really amazing, especially in 523 snaps as a true freshman. Hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here. I know we got a caller in the queue. We'll take that in just a minute. Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I just loaded Nick Saban's press conference from Wednesday night. Definitely check it out. He said that he should be cleared any minute, which is fantastic news for the rest of the team, especially going into this game against LSU. Daniel Wright, 53.4, and you can see how accurate the grades are, because I think when you look at the defense, those are the 2 players we've really kind of spot shadowed as guys to potentially be weak spots, right? Dylan Moses and Daniel Wright. And here you see it kind of reflect on the grades as well. William Anderson, another true freshman, 76.5 grade out, really impressive. And then Chris Allen, 63.7. I think Chris Allen would probably be trending upwards because, you look at the last couple of games, he certainly played very well. Christian Barmore, 80.3. And then let me see if I can get DJ Dell and DeMarco Helms in there as well. Christian Barmore, 80.3, a guy who I think, you know how I feel about Christian Barmore. I think he plays like a man on fire, along with, Phil Mathis down there at 79.6. So there are the grade outs for the defensive side. Of course, you can pause this if you want to rewatch it or whatever, and go check that out more in depth. We got our first caller, and I'm going to take that right now. And we have Jarek from Buffalo. Jarek, what's up, man? Thanks for leading off the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, what's going on, Kyle? What's going on, man?
I appreciate you calling in, man. It's almost that time for Alabama's 9th game of the season, man. And, after hearing Nick Saban speak tonight, I'm pretty excited because of the fact that, any minute, it sounds like, according to him, he should be cleared and get back with the team. I bet this is driving him crazy. I bet it's really odd, for everybody in the organization not to see Nick Saban there. I can't even imagine what they're going through, because this is a guy who is the staple of the program, the pillar of the program, and then not to see him there every single day, it must be pretty incredible for everybody. Kind of a taste of if he wasn't there and kind of what it'd be like. I know I wouldn't like it. I'm not ready to see somebody else. And I'm still glad that we get him every single night, during the press conferences. And I think kind of the virtual has allowed that. But what's on your mind, buddy? Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Just to follow off with you real quick, I think it's obviously it's tough losing that father-like presence, not just just everywhere in Tuscaloosa, right, including in the locker room and with those players and meetings. But I feel like it's a good. In a way, it's kind of a good sign that these players were able to respond without Nick Saban, without that leader type presence in there. That there's other players in the locker room that are being these leaders. That it's that there's other coaches like Steve Sarkisian and some of these other coaches that are stepping up in that leader type role for Nick Saban. I feel like it's a good sign moving forward.
Yeah, I think so as well. And, when you kind of look at this team overall, I mean, we've talked about this several times about just the overall continuity, right, with that staff. And, I mean, they only had to replace Brian Baker, and they added Freddie Roach, another familiar name to the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I think overall that continuity has really spilled over. And everything has been great with this team from a coaching aspect. I really like the direction that, everything is going, including the defense. Who would have thought, kind of, talking about the defense, that, this defense would be playing, kind of lights out at this point of the season. And, this is a crazy stat, Jarek. LSU hasn't scored against Alabama since 2014 on their home turf. In 2014, Kirby Smart and Lane Kiffin were the offensive coordinators.
Jesus. Oh, yeah, it's insane just hearing that. I mean, and I think the 2014 game, LSU scored 13 points. It was 20-13.
Yep.
So, LSU, this is a team that just typically, they just don't play well against Alabama and Louisiana. And, I don't know what the reason is. I think maybe that the extra loud stadium is actually motivation that, hey, that these guys, because LSU fans, they hate Alabama with a passion. So maybe it's that motivation that kind of sparked these players. Because if you look at 2018, you look at guys like Savion Smith after the post game, and Dylan Moses, some of these other these players. It's a different feeling. It's like it's not a national championship feeling, but you feel it's a satisfying win for these players that is kind of like none other. And again, just watching Savion Smith when he was celebrating in 2018, it was, when he kept saying it felt so good, it's like, wow, yeah, this is a different game compared to some of the other games that we've seen, even different from even Auburn.
Yeah, absolutely. Jarek, hang on for a second. I'm going to slide in some footage from practice. There's going to be a slight audio clip, so just hang on. All right, let me turn that down. Just wanted to get some action footage kind of rolling as we're on the line here with Jarek from Buffalo. Jarek, I mean, they're a 28-point favorite. I think that's the last time I checked the line. It could be even more. You think Alabama really takes it to them? I do. I think it's kind of, maybe like a 42, maybe 49-6 type game with LSU only getting 2 field goals. What about you?
Yeah, I have a good feeling about Alabama, definitely dominating this football game. Now, 28 points, LSU has had a bunch of horrible games. I did like what I saw from them, though, last week. I liked the way their defense played against A&M. Now, the thing that's so tricky about that game, Kyle, and the reason why I'm like, it's 28 points, is it the right amount, or should we be respecting LSU for their defensive performance against A&M, which is I'm putting the fingers up, a top 5 team. A&M, we have to kind of question their offense. I mean, they dominated the line of scrimmage. I mean, they moved LSU's defensive line all around. Now there were times where they typically in the red zone that they stood strong. Right, guys like Glenn Logan and guys like Neil Farrell and those guys, Ali Gay, those guys were able to step up, but the running game with Isaiah Spiller was dominant, and right. If Jimbo Fisher just gave the ball a little bit, more towards Isaiah Spiller, I mean, he could have had a career day. I mean, I think he already did have a career day, but he could have had a very, very dominant performance against that LSU front. Instead, they tried to throw the football. So now we're kind of looking at LSU secondary and saying, well, you know what? If they match so well with a top 5 team wide receiving core, then what can they do? Is it going to boost the confidence up? Well, you would suspect that it boosts the confidence up for the LSU secondary, which includes guys like Cordell Flott and Derek Stingley Jr., of course, and then Jacoby Stevens finally played like the Jacoby Stevens from last year, who was projected to be a first-round pick. So now you have to take a look at this Alabama receiving core and say, well, do they match up kind of well? I mean, but again, just going back to A&M, that A&M receiving core, the talent does not match up compared to Alabama's talent. It does not even match up to LSU's talent in the secondary, which is, in my opinion, I feel like was the reason why LSU secondary was able to match up. And then Kellen Mond is not Kellen Mond he's a good SEC quarterback, but let's be honest, as an SEC, as a quarterback, as a passer, Kellen Mond is not the greatest in the world. He doesn't do anything that impresses really the eye. I mean, there are moments where he steps up, and there are moments where he does have that typical typical big game, but you don't put him in that elite tier. You don't put him in that company. So I do feel like Alabama's receiving core, even with the loss to Jalen Waddle, can definitely get things going. I do feel like Steve Sarkisian will find a way to get Devontae Smith the ball, even though I am very interested to see that matchup between Smith and Stingley. That's going to be a first round pick versus first round pick type of battle. But I am interested to see some of the other playmakers on this Alabama receiving core going against this LSU secondary, which is going to have a lot of confidence.
On the line with Jarek from Buffalo. Lines are open. Call line at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-0883. We got John behind the glass, so thank you very much for calling in. He'll answer your call, and then he'll pipe you over to me. Talking with Jarek from Buffalo about this game this weekend between Alabama and LSU. Please hit the thumbs up button, like, and subscribe. Hey, Jarek, why have you on? We were talking last night about, the top 3 teams in the college football playoff rankings. I want to get your take on this because, when I pop up the schedules on the screen right here, you can see, kind of a glance at all these 3 teams: Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson. And we had some Notre Dame fans watching our show last night. Look, credit to Notre Dame and what they've been able to do. And my question to you is 2 things. One, if Notre Dame wins out, right, and they beat Clemson again, who knows, maybe it could happen. Could they leapfrog Alabama in the playoff rankings? And then secondly, can you please tell me what happened in Notre Dame versus Louisville? Because that matchup just sticks out like a sore thumb. It was only 12-7. I get it. You could point to Alabama's game against Ole Miss where it was 63-48. Those teams were, trading blows back and forth. But to Louisville, 12-7. I mean, those 2 things stand out to me. Your take?
Well, just talking about Notre Dame real quick. Listen, if Notre Dame beats Clemson a second time, that's good for them, but they should not be leapfrogging over Alabama. First of all, Alabama is competing in the best conference in college football, which is the SEC. Number 2, that if they were able to, let's say, clean off the SEC and they beat Florida, they would have beaten the top. They would have been pretty much the top teams in the SEC. You beat Auburn, you beat Georgia, you beat Florida, and then you beat A&M. Which, if they went out, that's a top 5 team right there. So Alabama would have the number 1 strength of record in the country if they were able to beat Florida. So there's no possible way that even if Notre Dame was able to beat Clemson twice, that they would be able to leapfrog them. I think second of all, that they won 12-7 against Louisville. I mean, that offense looked pedestrian. Ian Book couldn't throw the football in that game. Defensively, Louisville actually could have won that football game if they were just able to capitalize on the opportunities on the offensive side of the ball, especially when they had good field position. And then you look at Notre Dame's best win besides Clemson. People would say North Carolina. Their most impressive one was against Boston College, which is, Boston College for some reason, which is a mediocre football team, continues to compete with the likes of Clemson and Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame's schedule, besides the Boston College game, it's just and Clemson game, of course. There's nothing impressive. And people will look, we beat North Carolina. Listen, North Carolina lost to Florida State. Are we really going to take them seriously? I mean, I like North Carolina and they're on the come up, but they lost to Florida State. Matter of fact, they lost to the 2 worst teams in the ACC conference. And for some reason, the College Football Playoff Committee actually gave them a boost, a 3-loss team, a boost over Coastal Carolina, an undefeated Coastal Carolina team, which, by the way, has 2 teams in that Sun Belt Conference that beat Iowa State, which is the top-ranked team in the Big 12, and another team that beat Kansas State. So, I'm not taking Notre Dame's these fans. I'm not taking them seriously at all. It's ridiculous that they think that Notre Dame could completely jump them. They have their strength of schedule has completely been garbage. I mean, they beat Clemson. That's congratulations. But let's remember, they let a backup quarterback put up 435 passing yards against them. And the fact of the matter is that he was still raw. He missed a bunch of throws that actually could have set Clemson up in phenomenal position to not only beat them, but to sweep them up. So, Notre Dame, they are an impressive football team. I like them. They are a top 4 team, but no, for them to jump ahead of Alabama, that's ridiculous.
All right, Jack, we got some other calls in the queue. Thank you so much for leading off the show. I really appreciate it. Always provide such great dialogue. We'll definitely catch up with you on our next show. All right.
Yep. Always, man.
All right.
Always.
Thank you, Jack. All right, we need to get him the bat line as well, so he could just call right in. Boom, him and Sean from Huntsville. So, hey, Sean from Huntsville, email me, Kyle@BamaInsider.com. Next on the line, we got John from Birmingham. We're going to take that in just a second, but I want to hear from you in the comment box. When you look at these overall teams, give me your thoughts about Notre Dame. Give me your thoughts about Clemson. Do you think that Clemson is going to beat Notre Dame? Of course, we're talking LSU and Alabama for this weekend, and we're going to, take your calls, and I want to hear your take on that. But, when you kind of look overall, what's your kind of take when you line up those top three? And next, we got John from Birmingham in 3, 2, 1.
Kyle, how you doing? Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
What's
I'm
up?
a big fan.
What's up,
Man,
John? How
what
you
y'all
doing?
do on this channel is really good. I love it.
Oh, man.
I want to talk about Devontae Smith.
Okay.
Everybody in the Heisman race, they're talking, they talking Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, all the quarterbacks making that. But I think you would really seriously be doing somebody a bad service if we're not pushing Devontae Smith for the Heisman Trophy. That is pound for pound the best football player in the nation. And I think it's real funny. I don't see how Justin Fields is getting so much love in the Heisman Trophy as many games as they played. But no matter what anybody says, that Alabama should have 2 seats at the Heisman Trophy ceremony this year. And Najee Harris, with his personality, he's going to make so much money for sponsors. Like he's going to get so many endorsements. You're going to see Najee Harris at like McDonald's, pushing Burger King, Subway. Just if you've seen any interviews with Najee Harris, I know they started the season pushing Najee for the Heisman Trophy, and Mac-10, he's going to end up getting it. Najee Harris shouldn't hang his head, though, because he's going to make all the money and endorsements. I love y'all's show. Thank y'all for what you do. I appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. That was John from Birmingham. Nice, short and sweet call. I was trying to even pull up a graphic. Usually I'm a lot quicker than that. Pulling up a graphic of Devontae Smith and just kind of the season that he's had. I mean, it's really been pretty incredible, to see, what Devontae Smith has done over the last couple seasons. I mean, if you guys follow me on Twitter, Rivals_Kyle, I put together all of Devontae Smith's touchdowns, 13 touchdowns this season, what he's been able to do. I mean, this guy plays at an extremely high level. Did you know there's been a couple games this season where he didn't even score a touchdown? The last 6 games is where he's really caught fire. And yes, I get it. It's because Jalen Waddle is not there. But overall, I mean, Devontae Smith, just like John said, I think he has a wonderful point in the fact that Devontae Smith should be up there. I get that Elijah Moore is going to be up there for the Biletnikoff Award with Devontae Smith, but hands down, I think we all know who the best wide receiver is in college football. And look, that's not being, biased by any means. I mean, I think what Devontae Smith has done overall for his career has been just mind-blowing. I never would have thought that, after last year, after he caught for 1,200 yards, would he come back this coming season and also catch for, 1,200 yards? I mean, look what he's done. He's on pace to catch for 40 touchdowns throughout his career at Alabama at this level. In this time frame, it's really unbelievable. And we'll take our next caller here in just 1 second. We got Demetrius from North Carolina in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's going on, Kyle?
What's up, Demetrius? How you doing, my man?
I'm just trying to keep my head above water.
Hey, man, same to everybody in 2020.
Yeah. I just want to call in and give my humble little opinion about that little game against LSU. I believe I got to stick to my topic, the defense. I believe they up for redemption also, more than per se, because they got, Joe Burrow lit them up last year. I know it was a couple plays that Tua made, that pick 6 and that fumble that could have, but he lit them up, and I believe that defense, especially the back end, I believe them boys really gonna play inspired. They've been, this whole year, ever since after that first half of the Georgia game, that defense just been lights out, and them boys, they playing with a fire I hadn't seen in years in the Alabama defense. Ain't no more excuses about miscommunications. Ain't no more excuses about, hey, this ain't the right play call ain't in. Hey, them boys just going out there doing what they supposed to. Like I say, if you get out there and do what you're supposed to, then make a play. Don't try to make a play. And them boys are playing. I mean, it's been several years since I've seen it out of Nick Saban defense. It got sloppy there last couple of years. I'm saying it's because of the coaching turnover. That's why some coaches that shouldn't have been there was there and didn't have Alabama in mind. But now they done righted their ship and it's starting to show off.
Yeah, I mean, on the line with Demetrius from North Carolina talking about the Alabama defense, and here you go right on the screen. I mean, the last 18 quarters, let's just look at it. I mean, after halftime against Georgia, 0 versus Georgia, 17 at Tennessee, 0 versus Mississippi State, 3 against Kentucky, 13 against Auburn. That last touchdown against, the Auburn scored, I think all of us were just like, oh my goodness, with the defense, hold on, because it's only going to be 6 points. But when you look at the overall spectrum, and I know I was going to talk about the defense tonight, and I'll continue to show those graphics about the player grades because I know a lot of people have been asking me about the defensive player grades. Let me show this stat real quick. These are the Pro Football Focus top graded out players through 8 games of the season for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So the top 5 players on the defensive side: Patrick Surtain, and this is minimum 260 snaps. Patrick Surtain, 86.3. Malachi Moore, just a freshman, 81.2. Josh Jobe, 80.8. Christian Barmore, 80.3. And then you have William Anderson, only a freshman, 76.5. So, Demetrius, just like you were saying, the defense playing at a very high level. What else you got, buddy?
Yeah, and plus, like I said the other week, let's get it on. I'm like Judge Mill Lane. Let's get it on. Hey, LSU came in. I just don't like. I just don't that class that. I understand you playing against your rival, you're motivated, and you're gonna talk verbally back and forth. But you take stuff too far, and especially the coach, especially the head coaches. It's been a lot of head coaches taking shots at Nick Saban throughout the years, and there's no kind of class. If Alabama lost, I mean it's like that's the greatest thing happened to they. Hey, when we win, it's like Mr. Rogers. It's another day in the neighborhood. We got, like I say, we got championships to fill up both our hands, all our fingers, and all our toes, and starting on the other toe. And so, I mean, hey, let's get it on. I'm ready to see this game. Ain't no running from it. I don't see too many LSU fans. I got a couple of buddies. I know I drive a truck. I know they real quiet. I mean, you can hear a pin drop when we just having an off year. Well, I mean, lightning striking the bottle for y'all every blue moon, every 5 years, and y'all think, and then the rest of no, you're gonna be a powerhouse. You gotta stay. You gotta know how to stay at the top. Take all the bumps and the bruises. Hey, stand on top. So hey, if your coach is there, if your coach is there, now you see the effects of coaching continuity. They lost the wide receiver coach Joe Brady, and they lost the one, in my humble opinion, the best defensive coordinator in college football, David Randall, when he left and got a head coaching job.
Yeah. That's
a major blow. And a lot of schools I say it and I say it again, I don't care what school it is. There's no other school program other than Alabama can take the hit year after year is coaching with the coaching carousel and maintain to stay on top.
Yeah.
None of them.
Absolutely. All right, Demetrius, we got to move to our next caller, buddy. But thanks very much for calling, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
My good buddy Demetrius. I think what Demetrius said at the end of his call hit the nail on the head, because you look at what LSU, what's happened to them, right? They've completely crumbled, losing all their coaches, losing all their players. This happens to Alabama every single season. Every season that I've been here, Alabama's had to replace their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator. They've lost all these guys to the NFL draft. Juniors have declared early. There's so many moving parts. You lose a player like Tua Tagovailoa, you lose a player like Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Josh Jacobs, all those guys on the defense, and Alabama still comes with it every single season. And I think what you're seeing this year in particularly is Alabama's doing this against just a SEC only schedule. And that's something that Nick Saban's wanted. He's wanted an SEC only schedule, or at least to play more teams from the SEC. You're not having those games against my beloved New Mexico State Aggies, where I'm a proud alum of. You're not seeing games against Colorado State, which I think is great, right? Because every single weekend it's entertaining, or at least it should be. But Alabama continues to perform at a very high level. And now that they have that coaching continuity, they're even better. We're going to take our next caller right now. And we have Hunter from Alabama. 3, 2, 1. What's up?
Hey.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. You?
I appreciate you calling in, man. Take it away.
Yeah. So, I think going into this game, I think, what's his name? Our defensive coordinator, he redeemed himself a little bit the last few weeks. I know at one time I was very aggravated after the Ole Miss game, but, you know, we might can chalk that up to they might have been stealing signals and stuff like that. I don't know how true that is, or to what extent they might have been doing that. But he's got this defense until where they're starting to look like the old Bama defense that we're used to.
Yeah, I mean, and what's incredible is the Alabama old defense back in this present day, because everybody knows that, defense, and Nick Saban said this. Look, he said that offense wins games now. And if you hold an opponent to 13 or 17 points, that's basically the equivalent to, an old 7 points or 3 points in a game. I mean, this game has completely changed, as you know. Teams are putting up a ton of points. They're going high tempo. The quarterbacks are getting better. The wide receivers are getting better. And Nick Saban said this. He said that the better players coming to the game playing on the offensive side of the ball. I get it. So to see where Alabama's defense is playing right now, and look, things may change. We don't know. But it's been 8 games, and you look at the last 18 quarters, I think all of us have seen an improvement on the defense. I think the little things, honestly, just simple wrap-up tackling has added to this overall defensive performance. I know a lot of people were very critical about Pete Golding, and rightfully so. I was one of those people. But I also, kind of wanted to see a larger sample size as the year went on, because guess who's been the one guy who's been in Pete Golding's corner? It's been Nick Saban. Look, Nick Saban last year said that, he had to deal with starting 2 inside linebackers as freshmen. And, now you're starting to see a lot of those guys, even on the younger side of the ball, start to step up. So the defense certainly showing improvements. What else you got, Hunter?
Yeah, and you noticed something that I noticed last week in the game was, look at how many people they're rotating in and out of the game on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Tim Smith getting as a freshman, getting some pretty good reps last week. I mean, he got quite a few reps. So them throwing in those guys, I think it's a good thing. I think it gives those guys experience, and when you need them and you need to rely on them, they have experience that they can use and they can teach these guys with to get better. I think, like you said, we're all kind of frustrated a little bit with Pete Golding after the game, but after the Ole Miss game. But I always said, trust Saban. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he looks for in coordinators, and apparently he sees that in Pete Golding. I thought, though, that when Brett Bielema was fired at Arkansas, I thought that Nick Saban would go after Brett Bielema to be our defensive coordinator, because of the fact that Brett Bielema was defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, and during his time as a defensive coordinator of Wisconsin, he did a very good job. And I think he had the 3rd overall defense one year when he was coaching there. And so, I mean, that's pretty good for a team like Wisconsin. So, but I'm not disappointed anymore with what he's done. Maybe it's just getting these younger guys a little bit more experience and a little bit more teaching them the technicality of things.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a combination of things. I think we're all kind of seeking for, what's going on with the defense because, for ever since Saban has arrived at Alabama, it's been about defense, right? Defense wins championships. You remember that saying. I mean, that's not necessarily true anymore. It's more offense wins championships. We saw that with LSU last year, right? Their defense was okay, but their offense was just unbelievable. And by the way, Tobias, thank you very much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. I'll get to your question in just a second. On the line with Hunter from Alabama, talking about, kind of a variety of things as Alabama goes into this next matchup against the LSU Tigers, where they're favored by more than 4 touchdowns. The defense has certainly been playing lights out. The offense, I mean, Hunter, let's talk about this offense because, they're still running on all cylinders. And you look at the fact that Nick Saban, was coaching he wasn't coaching, but he was from his recliner. Jalen Waddle's not there. And this team still scoring points pretty much at will. Steve Sarkisian was the interim head coach. And you kind of look at what he's done at Alabama, since 2019 and keeping that offense going. Najee Harris continues to kill it. I have a graphic that I wanted to show with everybody, and because it's pretty ridiculous when you kind of, tabulate all these guys who have been contributing for the Crimson Tide. Mac Jones, 2,700 yards, 23 touchdowns. Najee Harris, 1,100 yards. Devontae Smith, 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns. The thing about Alabama's offense is they're very, very balanced, which makes them very, very dangerous. Hunter, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're very balanced. I think with Najee Harris in the backfield and Robinson in the backfield, on some downs, when you got that versatility at wide receiver, you can, Devontae and Mechie, when you got those 2 guys in the game, and some of the other receivers who in the tight ends too. I mean, look what Jahal Billingsley did last week.
Yeah.
But one more quick thing I'm going to ask you.
Sure.
Do you think Alabama is DBU or LSU is DBU? I think it's Alabama because we put some guys in the NFL the last few years. I remember Ha Clinton did.
Yeah.
Shaheem Carter, Marlon Humphreys. There's a list of guys there. And that's always been the debate. I've always just thought that Alabama had the edge there.
Yeah, I think so. I would say Alabama. I mean, it's tight. I mean, LSU certainly has, put out some guys, but I mean, you look at Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's another one that you didn't mention, but just like you were saying, I mean, Marlon Humphrey. You kind of like you add up the guys from Alabama's defensive secondary. It's incredible. And Patrick Surtain will probably be the next guy in the league as well. And then when you kind of look to, the younger class, I mean, look at all these guys that are young. I mean, Jordan Battle, Malachi Moore, DeMarco Hellams. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see year in and year out what these guys have done in the Alabama secondary and how it's translated to Sundays. But I appreciate you calling in, Hunter. I got to move to my next callers. I got some guys in the queue, and I'll catch up with you next time.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, thank you very much.
And one quick side note.
Yeah.
Shaheem Carter, when he came to Alabama, he was a 3-star recruit.
Yeah.
And then look at him now; he's in the NFL. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Hunter. All right, we got a 251, a 559, and a 256, and a 219, all in the queue. You guys be patient. I'll get to you guys as soon as I can. I know a lot of people have been asking about the player grades. I will go back and add those player grades real quick before I take my next caller, just so I can show those. I'll actually probably take my caller, and then I'll show those player grades because I know you guys have been asking about those, but I got to get to Tobias as well. Let's go, Kyle. I'm finally pumped about this game. We need to beat the brakes off this team. Question: how is Ohio State still in the top 4? Kyle, is Najee Harris breaking out this week? 200 yards, Mac 400, Mechie with 100 yards, and Devontae Smith. Look, I think I kind of have the similar questions about Ohio State. And look, if Michigan cannot play Ohio State, and if that game is canceled, there's no room for wiggle room in the Big Ten, then Ohio State wouldn't be eligible to participate in the Big Ten championship game. And would they be allowed in the college football playoffs? The short answer would be no. So how are they still in the top 4? I think people love Justin Fields. I think they believe in Ohio State, but I mean, they barely beat Indiana by 7 points. How good is Indiana? We just don't know. Too short of a sample size in the Big Ten. you look at Najee Harris and what he's been able to do. It's been really fantastic. I mean, I think we all kind of held our breath when he went out last week against Auburn, and then he came back, a 39-yard touchdown run. He has 2 of his longest touchdown runs in back-to-back games, 42-yarder and then a 39-yarder, which is great to see because I think when we look at Najee, we're all kind of wondering about his acceleration. He is 235 pounds. He's built for Sundays, and he does have that next level. Mac Jones, 400 yards. Who knows? I mean, this guy has been fantastic. I mean, Alabama had, some nice Super Trolls for him, and they even painted Bo Nix in the background when they were like game manager. That was pretty. Whoever came up with that was credit to them. And then Smitty and John Mechie. I mean, I think those guys are going to do their thing. 100 yards each. I would definitely take the over on that. So I appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the questions. And let me get to my next caller, and then I'll show you guys some player grades. But we got Robert from Mobile on the line.
Hey, how's it going, man?
What's up, Robert? How you doing, man?
Hey, I've heard a couple of analysts say the team that should be afraid if Florida beats Alabama and if Clemson beats Notre Dame is Ohio State, because then even if they play the rest of their game, which will only be 6 total, and they play the championship game, well, that's still less than Alabama and Georgia and Alabama and Florida and Clemson and Notre Dame by a long shot. And since then, Alabama's not going to get kicked out if they lose to Florida, and Notre Dame is not going to get kicked out with just 1 loss to Clemson. So Ohio State could find themselves out of this regardless if Alabama and Clemson or Notre Dame don't win out, which is deserving because, again, like you said, Ohio, it's the Big Ten's own fault. You got decided to start this season late. You were trying to cancel it all together and make everybody else cancel, and now you're suffering for having your game so late. And you, as well as they should. Right now, they're just living off their reputation of being Ohio State. If you look at their strength of schedule, it's pathetic. Can you imagine if Georgia had Ohio State schedule or LSU had Ohio State schedule? You think they would have a loss today?
Yeah.
No. They would look like a powerhouse team, both of them, while they're in the middle of the road team in the SEC. Mm-hmm. So that shows you the strength of schedule. So Ohio State they shouldn't be in. No Big Ten team should be in. They should all be out.
Yeah.
As really what the Big Ten did.
And I think, just like you were saying, and I said this, I think, a couple shows ago, this is on their Big Ten commissioner because they didn't have to delay their start. Remember when they kind of opted out and they said that they're going to play in the spring? They didn't have to do that. They said that way too early. They could have taken the same stance as the ACC, the Big 12, and the SEC and just be like, look, let's wait to see what happens. Push back the schedule. We have the time frame. That way, they could have all been an area to push back games, like you see in the SEC. Greg Sankey has done a good job, allowing that to have teams that had to postpone games, reschedule games. And the Big Ten didn't do that, and that's going to come back to bite them. And you've got to think that you're right. I mean, if these guys can't finish out their schedule, or even if they somehow, get Michigan State or Michigan or whatever happens on their Frankenstein schedule, they're just not going to have enough quality wins to potentially make the playoffs. I mean, are they a good team? I guess, but we just haven't seen them play the length of schedule that these other more qualified teams have played. So it's kind of on their commissioner and not really, it might not even be on their talent. It's just, they just haven't played enough games. What else you got, Robert?
LSU's what, 3 and 4? And you think they'll be 3 and 4 with Ohio State schedule? The same LSU team? No, they would not be. But real quick, again, you have to both the drubbing the game that LSU is going to get this weekend. There's no getting past the fact that Nick Saban used the word revenge when he wasn't even asked about the word revenge. If people tend to forget, Nick Saban threw the word revenge in there. The reporter did not ask Nick Saban about revenge. He just asked Nick Saban about is it a motivation? No, I'm sorry. Disrespect. Uh-huh. Yeah, the report asked about revenge. Nick Saban introduced the word disrespect. The reporter said nothing about disrespect. Nick Saban threw that word in there because Nick Saban felt disrespected for what happened last year. As well, he should. They show. Nick Saban has emotions, and he felt disrespect. So the LSU is the beating is going on. You take your score predictions.
I think you're right. I mean, Nick Saban didn't, flat out come out and say it, but I think they're playing that video that Mick has been begging me to play and that everyone has been asking me to play. They've been playing it in the locker room. Trust me. They know what happened last year. And these guys, this is a rivalry game. It goes down to, many, many years. It goes down to recruiting. There's so much that goes into this particular game. You look at the fact that LSU ran the table last year. Alabama wants to go to Baton Rouge and continue this shutout streak. Alabama wants to go down and drop the hammer on these guys. What else you got, Robert?
Oh, real quick, I think he's going to want to drop the hammer on Ed Orgeron as long LSU, as long as Ed Orgeron is in there. We think this year, oh no, this is going to go until Orgeron is no longer the head coach. I think they're going to make it his personal duty to get Ed Orgeron fired for failing to beat him over the next several years. So this year won't be the end of it. My score prediction, I say 52-14. Couple of garbage touchdown for LSU at the end. All right, man. Catch you later.
All right, take it easy, Robert. All right, Robert, our good buddy from beautiful Mobile, Alabama. All right, we got Chris from Fresno in the queue. We got Cam. We got Brandon from Louisiana. You guys hang tight. I'll get you guys in just a second. Let me provide some grades. I know Gelato has been asking about the grades. I showed the defensive grades. Let me show the offensive grades real quick, and then we'll take our next caller. So if you're new to the stream, I've let me take off these banners. I've added Pro Football Focus grades in the past, and how Pro Football Focus grades work. If you're just joining us, you have former coaches at the NFL or the college level go to every single game and they grade every single player. After that, we have access to the grades, behind the scenes stuff that we're able to look at the grades, the analytics, right? So on the far left, you have the player's name. The second row is the number, the position, games they played in. Total represents snap counts. So you really want a high snap count to get a better overall grade because, the more repetitions, the better you can actually grade the player. So let's just take Emil Ekiyor for starters. So Emil Ekiyor, he's a guard. He's played in 8 games. He's played in 533 snaps, and he has a Pro Football Focus grade offensively of 76.6. It's very good. Now, when you look at this grade sheet, look at kind of the 70s and the 80s as kind of like your A's in school, and look at your 90s as like an A++, and kind of look at your 50s and your 60s as kind of C's. That's how it's been explained to us by Pro Football Focus. A 50 doesn't mean that the player is absolutely failing. It's kind of just means he's more average. So that might be confusing because I think in the past I posted these and people are like, oh my goodness, this guy's a 58, like Miller Forrestall, like he's terrible. Well, no, he's not. I mean, these are just, it's kind of just an average, grade for what these guys are doing. Highest grade for Alabama is I actually have a cleaner graphic of that. Let me get that up. Highest grade for the team, and that's minimum 300 snaps. Mac Jones, 94.5. Devontae Smith, 93.6. Landon Dickerson, 88.5. Najee Harris, 88.2. Evan Neal, 79.9. And that's, again, in minimum 30 snaps. I'll show more grades as we continue, but we're going to take our next caller, which is Chris from Fresno. 3, 2, 1. Chris, what's up, man?
Hey, Kyle. Good. How about you?
Thank you very much for calling in. I really appreciate it, man. I know you want to talk about Malachi Moore.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to see him. I want to see him match up against their tight end in the secondary, Gilbert.
Oh, Eric Gilbert is, I know Alabama want him very, very badly. You look at Kyle Pitts from Florida, you look at Eric Gilbert. I hope in the future, Jaleel Billingsley could kind of emerge into one of those guys if he puts on some more weight. But man, Malachi Moore against Eric Gilbert, who knows what's going to happen? But Malachi Moore is such a beast. What do you like about him? For me, I like that he's everywhere. He makes plays. He's a game changer. He's very smart, very, high IQ type player. And it's hard to believe that he's only a freshman.
Yeah. He's like a baby Minka.
Yeah. Mini Mink.
Like in every category.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Yeah. He's he's had that turnover chain. Like 4 or 5 times this year, because I think he has 4 interceptions, and then he had that scoop and score against Tennessee. So he's the type of player who's always making plays.
Yeah, he's like Minka and Eddie Jackson, I think.
Man, to be compared to those guys as a freshman, right? That's pretty incredible, right? Baby, someone just loved a band on the comments is like Baby Minka. What else you got, Chris? What else you got, Chris, from Fresno, man? We got a couple people watching from Fresno. I know Tobias up in Fresno too. So we got some Alabama fans up there.
Yeah, it's big. I think it's pretty big down here, kind of. But I also think Mac Jones is going to break over 3,000 yards on the season so far.
Wow, 3,000 yards. I mean, he certainly could. I mean, you look at what he's done overall, kind of production standpoint. That's definitely going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen. Sooner than later. It could happen against LSU. I mean, he's already at 2,700 yards with 23 touchdowns. I mean, this guy is completely on fire. You think he's going to be able to duel out Kyle Trask when it comes to the Heisman Trophy?
That's a game I've been waiting to see. I hope he just throws 400 yards, you know what I mean? A typical game for him, and the Heisman's his.
What I like most is that the fact that Mac Jones and Kyle Trask will be able to go head to head, right? Because when you look right now to the implied probability, that's kind of the percentage that Vegas is having to win the actual Heisman Trophy. And I have a graph right now, or a graphic rather. You have Kyle Trask at 57.4%. You have Mac Jones at 40%. And then Trevor Lawrence at 10%. Now, Trevor Lawrence is still going to have, he has 2 more games, I believe, to showcase his abilities. One's going to be against Notre Dame in the ACC championship. And then, we'll see what he can do in the playoffs. But Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, certainly on a collision course. And I think I have an additional grade to kind of show those guys side by side and what they've done. Mac Jones, 2,700 yards. Kyle Trask, 2,800 yards. Trask with 34 touchdowns. Now, granted, Alabama has a more balanced approach than Florida, but I mean, both those guys have such ridiculous numbers.
I think Kyle Trask is beating them in the touchdown category because look at Najee Harris. He has 17 touchdowns on the ground this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that does play a big factor in it.
What else you got, Chris?
That's pretty much it. I just hope to see Bama win by 50.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you calling in from Fresno. Please call again next time, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Love the show. You have a good one. Roll Tide, roll.
All right, roll Tide. Our good buddy Chris out in Fresno. We got Cam up next. We got Brandon in Louisiana. And then our good buddy Sean in Huntsville. You guys are next in the queue. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight on BamaInsider.com. Please hit the thumbs up button, like and subscribe. Thanks, Gelato and Tobias for the super chats tonight. Really appreciate it. You guys, we wouldn't be here without you guys right here on the show. So wanted to run this by you guys tonight as well. All super chats, you guys are going to be entered into a contest. This week's contest prize, a $50 gift card to the Alumni Hall store. So it's something new that we got contest right here on BamaInsider.com. Let me show some more grades real quick in case people missed out on those grades. Here's actually the offensive line grades overall. And remember when I said, when I was showing this grade, look at kind of that 60 Deontay Brown to kind of be in the more average category. I felt, in my opinion, if I was grading him, it'd be a little bit higher. I've been very impressed with his run blocking ability. So again, these grades are, they are what they are. And Landon Dickerson, 88.5. It's pretty ridiculous, right? This guy is a complete freak. This guy has just been electric for Alabama. Evan Neal, 79.9. Still can't believe he's just a sophomore. Alex Otherwood, 77.5, Emil Ekiyor, 76.6, and then Deontay Brown, 62.3. All these grades courtesy of Pro Football Focus. And we will next take our next caller, which is Cam from Brunswick, GA, starting in 3, 2, 1. Cam, what's up, man?
Kyle, what's up, man?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us. We're talking grades. I hadn't released the grades for a while, and people have been asking about the grades, so kind of had to bust those out tonight, and I hope everyone's enjoying, checking those out.
Yeah, like Landon Dickerson takes up the whole screen, man.
Right?
He's a beast.
He's such a monster. He's so good. I think when you kind of look at the past Alabama centers, right, and just recently, Bradley Bozeman, Ross Pierce-Baker, Landon Dickerson is far better. I mean, this guy and those guys were good.
He looks hungry, man.
Man, those guys were good. And think about this. you look at kind of the mass exodus that's happening at Florida State right now. Everybody's been watching it. And you look to the fact that Landon Dickerson came from Florida State. He had some season-ending injuries. And now you look at what he's doing for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, he's really been flourishing. And, what a season he's been having. Certainly a key integral part to this overall offense.
Yeah, Landon Dickerson, man, he makes a lot of pancakes. People don't see that on the field, but the guy's blocking all the time, man. He's downfield blocking when he doesn't have somebody in front of him. He's just a beast, man. He's on another level, and I think he's a first-round draft pick. What do you think?
I would certainly agree. I mean, the way he's played, the strength he's shown, the high IQ. He's the perfect guy for Alabama's offensive line. I think he's the perfect guy for anybody's offensive line. Kind of when you look to the future, this guy is very versatile too. We can't forget that, right? This is a guy who played guard every single game last year, and now he's switched over to the center position. I mean, providing a lot of versatility, a lot of leadership. I mean, my favorite part is when Alabama scores a touchdown and then he goes and he just hoists these guys in the air like they're children. I mean, he picks up Najee Harris, who's about 240 pounds, like he's a kid. He just like lifts him up in the air. You've seen him too on social media, just throwing guys around from the opposition. I mean, Landon Dickerson is every single thing that you want from an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones is, he's lucky, and I think he knows that it's special to have somebody like Landon Dickerson, and not just Landon Dickerson, but all the other offensive linemen that he has blocking for him, because it just makes the pocket that more stable, where he can stand in there and make those throws that, a lot of quarterbacks can't make because they're under pressure so much, and they may be talented, but you really can't see that talent because their offensive line isn't holding up. And Alabama's done a good job of protecting Mac Jones.
Yeah, they really have.
So he can have this, this Heisman Trophy year.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's they've played a critical role in the overall offense. I mean, it's it's a big reason why Alabama's where they're at, and we can't forget to talk about them. I mean, that's why I make sure every single time the best that I can to talk about the offensive line, because I've just been so thrilled with their overall play, and credit to Kyle Flood, for doing a great job. But I think we all knew that this offensive line, should they stay healthy, should things go their way, that they're going to be this talented. Think about it from an experience standpoint. You have Alex Leatherwood, that guy's played since he was a freshman, now a senior. You have Evan Neal, who's just been, such an asset to Alabama. He played guard as a freshman, and now, you kind of look to what he's been doing as a sophomore, which has just been really incredible, at the tackle position. So I actually have some footage that just came in. So hold on, Cam. I'm going to put that in the background while we talk real quick.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Cam. What else you got, buddy?
Hey, man, the question is, does defense still win championships? And, Nick Saban didn't say that defense doesn't win championships. He said offense wins games. Let me tell you something, man. This defense that Alabama has this year, they're good enough to win a championship. And what do I mean by that? When they played Ole Miss, look how close the game was. But since then, Alabama has blown opponents out. And I think some of the opponents had just as much talent as Ole Miss, but they haven't even got close to beating Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a statement for this Alabama defense and what the future holds for them, especially when they play a good team like Clemson or Notre Dame or Ohio State. I think the defense is going to step up and, make some big plays. And I think you're going to see at the end of the year that defense wins championships.
I think that's a great point, Cam. I appreciate you joining us tonight. Thanks to everybody who's been following us along right here on BamaInsider.com. And great point. I think give me 1 second, Cam. I think you're absolutely right about Nick Saban, mentioning the fact that defense wins championships still, and offense wins games. I think that's a great point. I'm going to go back and listen to that because I think you're absolutely right. I got to move to my next caller, Cam. We're kind of pushing the end of this hour. But thank you very much for calling in, and please call again next time.
Hey, man, roll tide, Cal.
All right, roll tide to you, Cam. Thank you very much for calling in. All right, we got a few more callers in the queue. We're going to run through them real quick, and then we'll get you out of here tonight on BamaInsider.com. Please hit the thumbs up button, like, and subscribe. Next, we got Brandon from Louisiana. Tired of all the LSU bashing? LSU fan, I'll keep my finger on the trigger in case it gets out of control. All right. Brandon, what's up, man? Brandon. Brandon? I don't know if we lost Brandon or not. Brandon, call back. We'll save a line for you, buddy. Let's try him again real quick. Brandon, are you there? Brandon. Buddy. All right. We'll take Sean from Huntsville. 3, 2, 1. Sean, what's up, man?
Cal?
How you doing, man?
Man, doing good. Just working a little bit, taking a little lunch, talking to you. Wanted to pose a question to all my Bama fans and my Ohio State fans.
Shoot.
Before I ask the question, I want the Ohio State fans, this is no disrespect. I played the game, coached the game. I totally respect Ohio State as a team. But I want to bring up a point to show people what I mean by the Bama hate is real. I understand why people hate the Golden State Warriors, the New England Patriots. I get it. And some of the Clemson fans are understanding now what I've been telling them. Once you win a few, they're going to automatically start, pouring milk over you. You know what I mean? So let me preface by saying Ohio State has to play 4 games. They've played a 1-4 Nebraska team, a 1-4 Penn State team, a 5-1 Indiana team, and somebody else, Indiana, Nebraska, Penn State, and Rutgers. 2-4, 2-3, 2-4, whatever Rutgers is. Rutgers only won 2 games. That is the equivalent of Alabama starting their first games off of Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt, as opposed to Penn State, who just won who I respect Penn State, but they're 1-4. Sure. Nebraska's 1-4. The question I want to ask all the Ohio State fans, and especially my Bama fans, this team is ranked number 4. You're telling me from a committee standpoint that this team is the 4th best team in the country, better than Florida, better than Texas A&M. You're telling me that on the field they would beat Florida right now. And mind you, Indiana dropped 500 yards of total offense against that team. You're telling me that Florida would not do the same. So my question is this. If Alabama started their first 4 games in this pandemic season with Vanderbilt, a win over Vanderbilt, a win over Kentucky, a win over Missouri, and a close win, Rutgers actually outplayed them in the second half over we'll say, Arkansas. Do you think they would put Alabama at number 4, or would they say Alabama hadn't played nobody? They don't deserve to be number 4. Alabama's not number 4. They hadn't played anyone. They say that about us on years when we do play people. Mm-hmm. So if we started our first 4 games just like they did, have a struggle win over Missouri or whichever the equivalent of Indiana is, do you think for 1 second they put Alabama at number 4 without a bunch of hoopla? That's my question to you, Kyle, as well.
I think when you look at this small sample size, let's just talk, about Ohio State first. And I love, the dialogue, Sean, of course. I think when you look at kind of Ohio State, I think people are hoping that they're as good as advertised in the preseason. But just like you said, I mean, look, I have the graphic on the screen. Nebraska, nothing to be excited about. Penn State, Rutgers, cancel game against Maryland, cancel game against Illinois, Indiana. I mean, that was a 42-35 game. I mean, if it was the same thing with Alabama, I think there would be a large majority of people in 2 groups. I think people would try to be pushing Alabama out because they're so tired of Alabama, right? That Bama fatigue. We'd see it. We'd be like, Bama doesn't deserve it. Give it to BYU. But then I'd also see the other standpoint of like the business people being like, no, look, Bama is ratings. every single thing that Alabama says is TV money, right? I mean, they have Nick Saban on game day every single day. They talk about, ESPN talks about, we're in competition with ESPN because we cover Alabama football. You see what I'm saying? The brand is that big. So you have two parties kind of going back and forth. Ohio State, they really haven't sold it to me. I think that win over Indiana is very questionable. And the more I kind of dig into it, the more I kind of side with you in the fact that maybe this team just doesn't deserve it straight up. And if they can't figure out to, how to finish off the season, that's on the commissioner. That's on their team for not putting away Indiana. And then that's the kind of the last, we'll talk about Ohio State next season, but it's about who you can play, when you can play them. And overall right now off this resume, it's not good. It's not impressive. And I don't think they should just be grandfathered in.
My thing is, I could respect it more if they put them at 6 right now, and if they keep winning the rest of their games, the rest of their 2 games left or whatever they have left, then hop them up there.
Yeah.
But to put them above Florida like this, off the top, considering Florida has played twice as many games, Florida has almost twice. I think Florida does have twice as many wins as they have games.
Wow.
So that I just don't understand. This is why, and I'll say this and I'll end it. This is why I am not with the conference champion need to go to the playoff. This is why I would never be with that, because your conference champ, whatever conference you want to say right now, may be our third best team. Ask Oklahoma how that go, conference champ. You know what I mean? I'm not with the conference champ because your conference champ may be our third best team. Your conference champ may not be our third best team in this conference. May not. You can say what you want, but I would dare any other team in the Big Ten to line up against Georgia now. They don't want it, man. They'll say that. They'll play that. They'll say the bowl season doesn't matter. SEC goes 7-2, 8-2. It's just crazy, man. So it's going to be real interesting to see what go on. Love the show, Kyle, man. I know you got a couple more people, man. Love the show, and we'll continue to support it as always, brother.
All right. Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate it, man. Hey, Sean, email me, Kyle@BamaInsider.com. Appreciate it, man. Take it easy.
Okay. Got you covered, man. Thank you.
Take it easy. All right. Good buddy Sean out in Huntsville. We got our last caller on, which will be Jeff from Selma, and we'll take that in just a second. But I wanted to showcase this graphic real fast, put it, enlarge it on the screen real quick. Alabama, and these are the ESPN all-state playoff predictors. And kind of to build off Sean's point, check this out. They've only played in 4 games, and they have a 78.1% chance, according to ESPN's playoff all-state prediction, to make the playoffs. Why is that? Only 4 games. I think it's definitely because of that one particular room that wants Ohio State because of the eyeballs, right? They're a SEO tag that you want in your headlines. Alabama, look at that. 8-0 on the season. Notre Dame 9-0 on the season. Notre Dame with only a 68.1%. Look, I've talked about Notre Dame, and I feel that Clemson's a better team, but I absolutely feel that Notre Dame has a much better shot to get into the playoffs and a much more deserving shot to get into the playoffs along with Clemson. I mean, I can't even believe that Ohio State still has a 78.1% chance in this ESPN playoff prediction ratings. We're going to take our next call. This will be our last call of the evening, and we got Jeff calling in from Selma, Alabama. Jeff, good evening.
What's up, brother?
Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Have you heard the Florida fans, man? Have you heard them?
Hey, Jeff, I think you're are you on speakerphone?
No, I'm out in the hallway. Hold on, I'll go upstairs.
All right, let's see if we can get a better connection so we can do this properly to end the show. Since you're batting cleanup on the show, right? We got to have a clean connection. So let's give Jeff a second to get upstairs, and we'll revisit it. But here are the playoff rankings right now, or the playoff prediction from ESPN. Alabama 95.9. I mean, and I was going to ask you guys before we got off the show, does Alabama even need to play this next game against Arkansas? Right? Does Florida need to play their next game? Should Alabama and Florida both win, they'll both be 9-0. Alabama will be 9-0, and Florida will be 9-1, right? And why would they have to play that last particular game? I mean, it'd be interesting to kind of get a debate on that. Should they play that last game of the season? Just because. I mean, Jeff, are you there? Do we have a better connection? Did we lose Jeff?
I'm here.
All right, go ahead, Jeff. Just
Hello?
go anyways, man. Take it away, buddy.
The Florida fans are running their mouth right now, Kyle. Talking about they're going to kill us. Talking about they're going to just destroy us. And I don't agree with it at all, brother. I don't agree. Because some of the teams that we play, I know you can't always compare teams or whatever, but think about some of the scores that we've had in the recent games. Everybody's going to talk about the Ole Miss game. Everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, it was 63-48. But we won the game. The last two times we played them, we didn't win the game. We won the game that time, so it's good. So now we have a winning record. We're 9-0, we're 8-0, excuse me. And Florida fans just think that they're going to run over us. Literally. That's what they think. It's going to be no competition. You're going down. That's it. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's just ludicrous, if you ask me. I mean, look at us. Look at what we're doing right now. I mean, we didn't have a defense last year. Everybody knows this. But we do now. And if they want some, they can come and get some.
and I love this, Jeff. This is the great setup. We're on with Jeff from Selma. Appreciate you calling in, talking about Florida. Florida's getting really confident. Yeah, I like this comment real quick, but from Mike, he's like, Arkansas versus Alabama, that could be the COVID Bowl. I'm telling you, because why does Alabama have to play that game next season or next week rather if they've already wrapped up the West? You see what I'm saying? Wait, I mean, I get it from a money standpoint, but I mean, risk injuries. I mean, they've already won the West. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The official announcement has not been made. Jeff, I love this fact that Kyle Trask and Mac Jones are on a collision course to duel it out for the Heisman Trophy. What are your thoughts on Kyle Trask?
Look, you need a defense to win games. That's it. You need a defense to win games. You can't go against Kentucky. You can't go against Vandy like that and give them points. You can't do that. What do we do against Kentucky? 63-3.
Yes.
60 points. Nobody else has done that. Nobody. Answer me one team that's done that this year. That's put 60 points on somebody. And the Vandy game. They shouldn't have got a touchdown. They shouldn't have been hanging with them at halftime. Look, it's plain and simple. I'm going to say it just like this. All the Florida fans, if you think that you can do something to us, then call in. Let's hear it. Let's hear what you got to say.
Jeff from Selma wants the Florida fans to call in and tell Alabama fans why they think they can match up.
Please.
Look, he's calling for it.
I want to hear what you got to say. I want to hear if you think that Kyle Trask can hang 4 quarters with our defense. I don't think so. It's not going to happen. Sorry. It's not going to happen.
Jeff from Selma, batting cleanup. We love it, Jeff. Appreciate you calling in, man. Save the number. Call in next time. And if we need a cleanup caller, man, you're our man, Jeff.
I want to hear them Florida fans. I want to hear what they got to say because they all talking a lot of smack right now. They all talking something that they ain't got. They don't have a defense. Yes, they have an offense, but you need a defense to win games. That's all it is to it. They can go ahead and say what they want to when it comes to December 19th. If they don't have a defense and they don't start fans against us, they're going to be playing catch-up in the second half. Roll Tide, I'm out.
Jeff from Selma, we appreciate it, buddy. We'll talk again next time. What a call. Love it. Love the enthusiasm. Love the energy as we end out the show. Jeff from Alabama, Cleveland. I love the back end of the show. So the front end, Jarek from Buffalo, he's our classic leadoff hitter, right? You always know he's going to get on base. He's always going to get us to, minute 10, minute 12. And then in the back end, like who's going to call in the back end? Well, guess what? It's Sean from Huntsville, right? Sean from Huntsville is like our star player. We know he's always going to come through. And then it's the cleanup man in the back, Jeff from Selma, Alabama, hitting, kind of the walk-off to take us to the end of the show. I love it. I appreciate all you guys tonight calling in. I love to take your calls. I love to talk Alabama football with you guys. Blessed to be here. Fantastic show tonight. I appreciate all the super chats. Definitely hit the thumbs up. We'll catch you guys on our next show, which will be tomorrow night with Mick Gillespie. He'll be talking with Andrew Bone. And then we got the tailgate show on Friday. We got the watch party on Saturday. And after the watch party is the after party. We'll take your calls and we'll talk about Alabama and LSU. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. We appreciate you guys subscribing. So definitely hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time right here on BamaInsider.com. Good night, fam.